I promised you to dig into some really antique stuff and some really Leica things that are not anymore produced, right? And for good reasons, because this stuff is from a time when Leica had to be, when the Leica, any Leica, before the Leica Flex of 1965, that Leica had to be anything. Leica had to be your reportage camera. It was extremely compact, as you know, and you had jewels like these, and you're talking about compact cameras. There's nothing more compact than a Leica 1F from the 50s, and of course, this is great as long as you have short lenses on them, and it's the same with the Leica M camera, as you know. It revolutionized the photography, absolutely, and an M2 with a Summicron 35. There's nothing like it. It's really fantastic. And of course, you could change optics, and you could do all sort of things, and you could put on these wonderful short telephoto lenses, and you could put on longer telephoto lenses. And at some point, this would be too long. So the Leica viewfinder, rangefinder camera could not take it anymore. So what happened? Well, of course, we have we always had the single lens reflex cameras of sorts. Yeah. So we had many single lens cameras, and of course the single lens camera, reflex camera that killed the Leica was the Nikon F, and that's fine. It's history. But Leica already early, because in 1936 was the big Olympic Games in Berlin. Huge, horrible propaganda thing for Hitler and his friends. But even so, and Leica, they of course understood that we have to have nice lenses for the sport photography, Sportfotografie. So they developed the super heavy tailed 40 centimeters. These things becomes humongous as soon as you start, and this is one of the latest versions of the tailed, and it's fantastic. It's but it's a classic telephoto design from the 1930s, and it was fantastic, and it was introduced with the 1936 Olympics, and it was of course introduced with a reflex housing where you put the mirror between the lens and the camera, and it did not quite look like this, but very much like it, because this is the development of the first mirror housing by Leica, and this is the Visoflex. They called it Visoflex, and as you can see, there's a mirror inside, and it claps up and down, and it was extremely impractical, because you basically needed a double cable release to get these things going, and which means that you also needed a tripod. This was not a handheld camera anymore. And there were several lenses for this, and everything was quiet. You had the 40 centimeters, you had the 20 centimeters, and that was it. And then you could have short tubes for the long lenses and put them on, and But then they thought, hey, this is too impractical. So some bright fellow thought we can have this much more compact. And so the Visoflex 2 came. This is the Visoflex. and there's a horizontal loop for it, and there is a vertical loop for it. Very smart. The horizontal loop, and then of course the mirror. You put the mirror up like that, and then you put this on the camera, and you synchronize this release arm with the camera release, and then click, and then that was it. Fine. So click, and it did not return. So as the years went by, people got more and more lazy. The Visoflex also evolved to Visoflex, you guessed it, Visoflex 3. And this now the mirror was also returning. And not only that, but you could have it go clack like that and synchronize it with the camera release, and you could take a wonderful picture, and the staggering was good, or you could have it quiet, absolutely quiet. And the same thing was with the loop. You had a horizontal loop, clack like that, or the vertical loop like that, and it was all nice. Yeah, and of course you had all these lenses. This is the 200 millimeter tele. This is a really wonderful classic. That's the half size of the 400 millimeter that we just saw. And of course, with the Visoflex 1, it was no problem to put this on like that. You just screw it in. With the but you see, the Visoflex 1 is much longer in the length like that. Mm-hmm. And the Visoflex, the shorter Visoflexes, they are more compact. So what did they do? They made an adapter. And it's very, very important to know that this adapter has to be used with the Tele 200 and several other setups if you're going to use this on a Visoflex 2 or 3. And then it comes on the camera. And I'll do the whole thing now. Put it on the M2. You can do this. You put the camera on, and then you have this mechanism, and then this thing makes it now it's fastened on camera, and then you put on the loop, and then you have a wonderful telephoto camera. This is the classic, wonderful M setup of the 60s. As you can see, the 200 millimeter is, you can put it there, and it's very, very compact. And I used to take a lot of pictures with this combination. It is very, very nice. It still is very nice now. Good. I can use this combination on my modern M camera. The M240 or M10 or whatever, M9, it's no problem. What you cannot use with the modern camera is this loop, because this loop builds very, very low on the camera, and you can see that this will then, since the modern cameras are 3 millimeter higher, this does not fit anymore, but the old one will fit. So that's not a problem either. So that's the Visoflex. Okay? Now, as I mentioned to you, the longer lenses of the Leica could also be fitted with the Visoflex. You only needed a different focusing unit for these lenses. And this is, by the way, the shortest lens that you can fit on the Visoflex. This is the 65 Elma. Wonderful for macro things. But, the classic Elmarit 90 and so forth, you can always unscrew the lens head of this focusing unit, and then you just put it onto this shorter focusing unit, and you put it on the Visoflex. That's it. And now I have a single lens reflex camera. Although, because of this clumsy thing, it's like a little bit like driving a Rolls Royce with a lawnmower engine. Huh? It does not. It is evident that this is not fit for the daily normal use of a Leica M cam. But it is for the applications in terms of if you want to really have everything controlled, the depth of field and everything like that, especially, of course, with lenses like this, the Summicron 90, which also, of course, could be delivered with, you set it again, you unscrew the thing, and you put on the short thing. And it looks very, very nice on the Visoflex. Clack! Here is your high-speed portrait photo camera, and you can control everything on the matte screen, and it's, this is extremely enjoyable. This is the best setup, in my opinion, for the Visoflex, except when you go with the long telephoto lenses. But this for portraits, this is one of my favorite setups, really, because I can see everything, and since I'm not shooting with a 35mm wide angle, but shooting with a fast 90mm portrait lens, this is the way to go. Now, of course, all the other lenses, the Tele Elmar, and of course the Elmarit 135, they can all have short focus units, and that's the whole point of them. That's the whole point of the Visoflex, and that's what makes the camera so unbelievably universal. And you see, this is the focusing unit for the 65, 90, and 135, and you can really pull it very far. It's almost like a mini Bellows, because with the 90mm you get into 50 centimeters from the motif, and with the 65 you get down to 33 centimeters. And it's wonderful, and you can make wonderful macro things. Of course, the ultimate in macro, I'll get to it in a second. First, I want to show you the 280mm tailored 4.8 280. This is the very last iteration of it. And it's from Canada. It's Canada again. And this is the first lens, or rather the last, that cannot be fitted onto a Visoflex 1. This already has the long back thing for the Visoflex 2 or 3. Okay, fine. Then, of course, you have very compact two-element taillights, the f6.8 taillight 400, which is wonderful. It's so compact, and it has a follow focus, so you can focus very. You just depress this button and you can follow focus the motif. Very smart, and it actually, this unit, the focusing unit here. No, excuse me. The aperture housing unit and mount is shared with the 560. Here is the 560, and this is, and it's so light, and it's so compact, but optically it's simple. There are two elements that are cemented together, and that's the whole thing. So it's like a huge, magnification glass, if you want. And it's also 6.8, so it can theoretically be handheld, but it is, and you have a shoulder kind of stop that you can use with it, and that's fine. But this is not practical. But it is nice to have. It's something that you should not spend lots of money on. This is something that you will find on eBay, on auction, and someone is desperate and you get it for a song. But that's why. Anyway, bigger than that, Leica also produced a Tellyt S 800 millimeter. It's very hot here. I don't have the 800 millimeter gone. They cost thousands. But I did pick up something really big from Pentax. The 1000 millimeter.
Wow.
Can you see?
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing.
The 1000 millimeter, and it even has a sunshade on it. And you can put that on an adapter, and you can use it on a modern digital Leica with. You see, nowadays the Visoflex is not anymore. The Visoflex is called electronic viewfinder, and they are like this. This is the EVF. EVF2. Now, of course, the Leica M10 has a different one, which is better. But this is the EVF2, and it's it has made all these things very current and very usable again, because you have this electronic viewfinder on the modern digital Leicas, and this, in my opinion, has opened up for a total renaissance of all these wonderful, beautiful things. And that's important to have in mind, because if you go for macro, you need one of these. You really need one of these. This is in two parts. This is actually the sunshade. You can use it as a slide copier or anything else, and you just put it on. And the bellows themselves are actually the standard mounting ring for the bellows is for the 90 millimeter Elmarie. So it's very, very smart. Very, very smart. But you have to be really, really careful, because on the modern Leica, the bellows, as they are in standard form, has a flange that is really extremely close to the camera itself. But, I mean, after all, this is meant to be used with a Visoflex, right? That's what it was meant to be. But of course, nowadays with the live view and the EVF, you can also use it without the Visoflex, but you have to have this adapter, or else if you get the camera on at all, you will never get it off. That's one of those things that you should not try. So what I did, of course, with my modern Leica, nice old lens, just put it on like that, and you can see now it with this ring here, which was standard. This is a standard ring for macro, the shortest ring you can have for macro for the Leica lenses. Now it's safe. Let's see. Because here, the bellows, you see, it's extremely close to the biomet. You cannot do that on any M camera because you will foul the little things in front. You will foul up this we call it Bildfelddeler, this thing here. And so this ring is mandatory. Okay. I will make photographs for this so you can have details, right? Because now I'm just going very, very quickly through the whole thing. But as you can see, there is no problem now to combine all these things with the old lenses. And I'll do a little setup. Hang on just a moment. So it even looks nice on the modern camera. Right. Now, of course, this gets very, very big as soon as you put on anything bigger than that. But it is all possible, you see? It's all eminently possible. And you need a good tripod. Yes. But you can also do these things handheld. I think that the 280 is the biggest lens you can use practically handheld on the Leica M camera. Of course, all these things get even better on the Leica SL, right? Because that is extremely, that is you look through the lens, right? There's no nonsense anymore. Right? There's no, huh? But of course, on the Leica, like this, I put on, what did I have? Where did I put my lens here? Oh, it is on, excuse me. Yeah. Display professeur. And yes, this is what I wanted to do. Because you should always put on this compendium, as it is called. Because it is the best sunshade you can ever have on a combination like that. And because on the Elmarit 90 is fantastic for macro. And you can pick them up for a song. You don't need to pay more than 100, 150 euros for an Elmarit 90 these days. And they are, apart from being a wonderful portrait lens, they are superb for macro. But you need, because they're very prone to flare, you need a very good sunshade. And there's nothing better than this compendium. We have a fastening screw here. And that's it. And normally you would then focus on full opening, and then you will stop down to F11 or F8, whatever you need. Nothing more than that, because you don't want a flat picture, but you want, since this lens has a wonderful bokeh, you need to have as much as possible of your motif in focus. The best f-stop on this lens is f8 or f11. Good. Now, that was the Bellows. And of course, this is, you see the loop? That's good, fine. Now, if you want to be practical, watch this. Take off the loop and put on the EVF, the modern EVF. And then, since this is possible on the Visoflex, you can take up the mirror so that it is gone forever. It's now up in the housing, out of the way, and you can use the EVF of the camera without any difficulty. And it's actually, on a modern digital Leica, this is the best combination. Because then you can really get very close to the motif, and you can focus, and you can as you can see the live view, you will also know exactly what kind of exposure you should make, because you can always see what's happening. So that is the modern, rejuvenated, antique accessories on a modern Leica. That means you have possibilities to use this equipment in this form for all the Leica M cameras from 1954. And since I forgot to show you, this Visoflex 2 is a very rare one. This is with screw mount. So it is for the old bar camera, like this one. This is a screw mount. And this also means that all these old lenses for the Visoflex 1 can be used for cameras all the way from 1933 up to now, including this wonderful jewel, the Hector 2.5 125, which was made for the Visoflex only. And this is a fantastic portrait lens. It's very rare, it is very fast, and should be used with its sunshade. It is not terribly practical, but it is, it's made for making wonderful portraits of beautiful women like yourself. Yeah. So that was it. Here you have the whole story of what you normally don't see with Leica cameras nowadays.